Hi, how you everybody doing? This is Suburban Prepper, and we're gone live for our 7 o'clock update. Hope everybody's doing good. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to do our garden update. Of course, at this point right now, I've got eggplant growing. I've got some tomatoes, some large tomatoes growing. I got some zucchini growing, and understand I just planted them this week. I got some purple potatoes. I got some sweet potatoes, some carrots that are some regular type carrots and the ones that come in different colors all throughout the garden. I use that as a cover crop. So I'm growing that around the perimeter of the grow beds. And the main crop will be one of the above, tomatoes, zucchini, or eggplant. I got lima beans growing, and that's growing as a cover crop on top. Half of the bed, and the other half is the carrots. So it'll be interesting to see how it looks in a couple of weeks when everything starts budding. I'm still pending on some ginger root, otherwise known as rhizome, and I've got some spots I'm going to plant that. And since that's a root plant, everything else can grow up, except I can't plant carrots with it. But we'll figure it out. So I want to show you what I consider to be my latest tech is this flashlight. Okay, I think it's this mega flashlight, the greatest flashlight that there's ever been. Check this out. And I forgot to turn it off. Stickers. There we go. But anyway, just to see how bright it can get. You can look at that in the mirror. You can see that back there on the camera, of course. I mean, it's pretty bright. And you hold it down and it goes through the strobes and through the motions. And it's pretty awesome. So I would highly recommend this flashlight. It's a no-name brand flashlight. It comes with its own battery and it comes with its own charger. You can charge it USB, as you can see here. Don't they all now? So it's on Amazon. Just check it out. That's my greatest tech that I have. Next, I want to talk a little bit about weapons, okay? But, on live streams, we can't show anything. This is in regards to my bow and arrow. This is a True Fire smoke attachment. It's a hunting release, okay? So I got tingling in this hand, okay? So what you do is you put this on like this, okay, like Spider-Man. Tie it down tight because it'll get loose. It'll loosen up. You attach, and you can have room for it. You put it on the string, and the cool thing is you can wear gloves with this. Clip it on. Obviously, you're going to clip it on like that. You pull the bow back right up to the cheek, and release. And the neuropathy in the fingers doesn't make any difference. I go to a fellow that has a indoor archery range, and he sells wood that I use to smoke, and I saw this, and I tried a few other ones out, but I like that I can expand this out to my desired length, and the release is just like that. You can see it just releases. And this is, it's like Spider-Man's web slinger for the Spider-Men that have to do it mechanically. Pretty cool stuff. And like I was going to say, the good thing about this is you can shoot with this in the wintertime with gloves, because this is doing the job of your finger, and you don't have to worry about your fingers freezing. So I'm looking forward to taking this out and practicing my archery skills. Update on the AR300 Win Mag. I called the company, Bear Creek Arms, and I guess it takes a few weeks to get it in. And when I do get it in, I ordered a lower from the same company that's going to be shipped to my FFL, which is an arms dealer, or my gun store that I go to, my local gun store that I like to go to. And I can't wait to take that out, get it zeroed, and throw some shots out. They say Win Mag is not cheap, but 50 cal is not cheap either. I'm pretty excited about that. Update. I have nothing to show, just tell. So I have a battery source here. I want to do an opening today with you. This is the Anker battery, and we're going to do an opening. I haven't opened this yet. This is something I want to take out when I'm leave it in my truck when I'm going out and doing something overnight or extended period of time, so I can have a power source without having to turn on the car or my truck. I just ripped through this stuff, okay? It's not like I'm going to put it back in the package. And it comes with an app. You dial that on your phone thing. Pretty fancy. Take a look at this here in a minute, see what that is. But this is it. Oh, it's at 28%, ladies and gentlemen. So I could put solar in here, and I can charge out with an HDMI and these little output things. So this is a good device to have. I was not aware, though, that I could put a solar panel on here. I'm going to have to look into that, ladies and gentlemen. So that's my Anker. Go over this here. Anker 548 Power Bank. Ooh, I can't read any of that. Look at that. That printing is so small. Oh my God. Important safety instructions. Well, it's pretty cut and dry how you work it. You charge it, and then you use it. And I'm sure I'll make a YouTube video about how to use this. Comes with a light. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, shit hit the fan and you want everyone to know where you're at. Interesting. Well, we got this piece of equipment here. My only question is, if I want to charge it by plugging it in, where am I going to do that at? Or maybe I can only charge it. Let's see here. So they got one hole here for input. So I guess where you can charge it. Let's see, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do. We'll connect to this. Look at that. I have it plugged in to my cord for my phone. And it's going to tell me how long it's going to take to recharge. 7 hours and 31 minutes, 6 hours. Figured it out, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to put this over here. Keep track of the time down. So you can charge it through a plug. It uses the same one that an Android phone uses. And this is an extra plug right there. You have so many plugs, you got to be careful. So that's my power source, my Anker power source. I should tell you too, I do have another Anker. This is an Anker here as well, ladies and gentlemen. And just got to, I use this to charge my devices at night. I wanted to wear this a little bit tonight. Build up the neck muscles. It's fitting a lot better. I did a 36-hour fasting, and I did lose about 3 pounds from the fasting. A solid 3 pounds, not water weight, because I drink tons of water during the fasting, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about FERS radios and MERS radios, and I'll demonstrate one to you here. The FERS is the Federal Emergency Radio Service. They're essential communication tools for emergencies, of course. What is a FERS? Of course, a FERS is a radio designed to provide coordination during emergencies. It's used by first responders and emergency people to relay critical information. FERS has its own radio frequencies, and it depends on where you're at. The channels on the FERS radio are pre-programmed, so you have quick access. It's not like a ham radio where you have to dial it in. And depending on your location, FERS can adapt to the local frequency spectrum to maintain clear their communications. They have burst-free communication, This is advanced frequency, something I would never do. Advanced frequency FM modulation that ensures smooth and reliable signals without interruption in high stress situations. Way beyond what I would ever do, but let's talk about it. You got to know the regulations about the FERS. It's something you plug it in and you turn it on. Of course, factors with the FERS radio is terrain. It says open areas of flat terrain, so in the desert, can exceed 10 to 15 miles. So the truth is you take a third of that, and that's how far it can really go. So at the most in the desert, 5 miles. Urban areas, it probably goes less than a mile, in my experience. The normal power is a 1 to 5 watt, and that can give you 1 to 2 miles in an urban area. The high power, 5+ watts, they say they can go 10 to 15 miles in an open rural space. FERS they provide seamless communication during emergencies. That's important, ladies and gentlemen. And it's flexible. Their frequencies make them good tools for disasters around the world. You have secure, dedicated channel for critical operations. It's easy to use. It's a plug and play kind of thing, and it's durable. You got to know what the frequency regulations are where you're at, all right? And you got to train with your devices before you have to really use them during high-stakes scenarios. You don't want to just jump into something and not know how to communicate. And, with any other device, you keep preventive maintenance checks. And you want to practice to see how far out you can go. Of course, you do this in a vehicle, and one person's stationary, one person is driving a truck or whatever, or riding an e-bike away, and you discuss what the range is. So you'll know what you're capable of, what your radio's range is going to be. Now, MERS radio, on the other hand, and let me show you, I have a MERS here charging. I have the pair charging. MERS is it's another critical radio, multi-use radio service. It's small businesses, teams, insurance communication, and what is MERS? It's a set of 5 unlicensed frequencies within the VHF spectrum of 151 to 154 megahertz. You don't need a license at all to use this in the United States, so it's easily accessible to anybody. Unlike GMRS, where you have to register and pay, and ham, where you need a SAD ham license. And I'm just trying to see if this one, I haven't used these in a couple of years, so they're charging real slow. Hey, we got 5 hours and 43 minutes on the device here, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen. So it's charging faster than what you think. I'm just keeping an eye on it. It's at 29%. So you don't need a license for a MERS radio, okay? They're designed for short range, 1 mile. It says 1 to 3 miles, but come on. We all know that, and Bob Dole knows that it's 1 mile or less. Of course, MERS stands for multi-use radio service. It's used in the United States, and it was created by the FCC to provide a cost-effective option for people to talk. There's, like I say, 5 channels. Channel 1 is used for general communications and non-commercial purposes. Channel 2 is for medical telemetry devices only. Channel 3 is for people that are hunting, camping, fishing, or enjoying the outdoors. And Channel 4 is limited to business activities and industry. And of course, Channel 5 is for emergency use only. Emergency use only, ladies and gentlemen. It's a simple push-to-talk system, okay? So you push it and you talk. It's like a walkie-talkie almost. Again, the great thing out is that you don't need a license, unlike GMRS or ham. Ham requires a test. And you saw my little MERS. It comes with headset, and I'm charging them up. I haven't used them in years. MERS has a good battery life, and these things are rugged. They haven't broken down on me. So I like them. Now, unlike FRS, Family Radio Service, MERS can be used with fixed base stations and attached antennas, extending their communication range. They have some distinct advantages. They're easy to use, they're cost effective, and minimal interference, and they're versatile. You can use them in the fields or in the parks where you're at. You have to play with it, okay? You know, for like businesses such as retail stores, warehouses, or what you can do is get your radio or your police scanner, and you can pick up the MERS frequency from the store. And it's great for camping and fishing, and having a communication tool with your mutual assistance group. And of course, the MERS is good for farms to coordinate activities. Some neighborhoods use the MERS radio for a neighborhood watch program, and they're walking around, acting all badass. And they communicate on the MERS radio. MERS can streamline communication between staff and security to ensure things run smoothly. So the difference between MERS and FRS, and I'm going to take a break with this, ladies and gentlemen. This is my helmet. We'll do a talk on my helmet sometime. Just putting my helmet down here. I'll put my hat back on. Everything's going great. Both MERS and FRS are radio license free, but MERS radios operate on less crowded frequencies. MERS versus GMRS. GMRS offers a wider range due to higher power capabilities, and it still depends on network and repeater stations. But it seems like the FCC has taken away all the repeaters for some reason for the GMRS radios. And the MERS are cheaper. Is a MERS radio right for you? Well, you decide. They're ideal for preppers because they're short range. What else can you ask for? So my next talk, I'd like to include a little medical lecture on various conditions that affect us as people, preppers. And I was doing a talk on specific medications or herbals and naturopathics individually. And I decided, well, I'm going to still do that from time to time, but I want to incorporate more the disease processes and look at it from a point where I prescribe my patient's medication and also the holistic or naturopathic components of health and wellness. And I believe there's a mixture of both of them, ladies and gentlemen, not just one. So I'm going to stand up real quick. Take a little sip of my water. So today we're going to talk about type 2 diabetes. Okay. First, let's clarify type 1 is when your pancreas secretes absolutely no insulin. Okay. It can happen in childhood. It can happen from an autoimmune disorder. But managing diabetes effectively requires the right combination of lifestyle and medications. And you have to tailor this to the individual. And just to clarify, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about type 2 diabetes. Okay. Now, we don't use the term adult onset because some kids are getting so obese now that their pancreas can't meet the metabolic demands. So you have youngins becoming type 2 diabetics that are still in school. So let's talk about the types of diabetes medication, the different categories and how they work. Well, first, number one, and now this isn't the line of treatment. This is just the different categories. I have my personal preference for a line of treatment. So insulin works for type 1 diabetes and for type 2 diabetes, okay? Insulin helps, it opens up the cells so the sugar can go into the cells. It's a key. That's how you look at insulin, as a key. There's fast-acting insulin called Aspart or Lispro, and then there's long-acting, like 24-hour acting, like Glargine or Dedimer. And there's the in-between, like a 70-30 combination or something called NPH. You know, if your blood sugar is too low, don't take the insulin. If you're allergic to insulin, if you have a reaction to it, you know. The next category of medication is bigonides. The only one out here is metformin. Okay, it's used to treat type 2 diabetes, and it works with the liver, improves insulin sensitivity to decrease glucose production of the liver. So it doesn't really work with the pancreas. So you got to be careful with it. You monitor the kidney and the liver and alcohol abuse due to the risk of lactic acidosis. The third category is sulfonylureas. The one I don't like prescribing them a lot, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Glyburide or glipizide. Of course, you avoid it with severe kidney issues or liver issues. And you're at risk for low blood sugars, hypoglycemia. Now, with sulfonylurea, and I'm just going to say glipizide, you absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely have to take it with food. It makes your pancreas secrete and produce more insulin. So you absolutely have to have food with it. Otherwise, you'll pass out driving. Okay. No, it's a good drug. I don't think that someone with dementia should take it, or someone that doesn't eat. If you're not going to eat a meal, don't take it in that time period. Next category is the sodium glucose cotransporter 2s, or SGLT2 inhibitors. And this medication helps the kidneys remove excess sugar through the pee. through the urine. You pee it out. The most common one that we prescribe, that I like to prescribe, is empagliflozin. There are some contraindications. If someone's prone to getting urinary tract infections, you don't want to put them on Jardiance because you're just feeding the urinary tract infection. And we're learning now that empagliflozin is also good for cardiac health and kidney disease, chronic kidney disease. So it has its purpose. Usually if we're treating it for chronic kidney disease or for heart failure, we go with half a dose, 12.5 milligrams. Again, if you get urinary tract infections, that's not a good drug for you. Our next is the glucagon-like peptide 1s, or GLP receptor agonists, okay? How does it work? It mimics the hormone incretin, which stimulates insulin release after meals, slowing down digestion. Semaglutide is the example, okay? If you have thyroid cancer or pancreatitis, you can't take it. Next category is this DPP4, dipeptidylpeptidase 4. And it's similar. It helps prolong the effect of incretin hormones, which increase insulin secretion after eating. So you don't need to take a DD4 and a GLP-1. Usually if you're on a DD4, you're going to stop taking it and stick with the better acting GLP-1 in my practice, ladies and gentlemen. Sitagliptin, saxagliptin, these are good drugs. This is just some water. Everybody like my friend here? I don't know what to call him yet. We're missing some upper extremity bones. And for some reason, he had an accident and his bone is in his femur. And he's holding on to some extra kidneys, or no, lungs here, ladies and gentlemen. What should I name my buddy here? Leave a comment what you think I should name this fella. I don't know. Next is a TZDs, and this is a word I hate pronouncing, thiolidines. It's pioglitazone, okay? That's how it improves insulin sensitivity in fat and muscle tissues. There's not really a contraindication is if someone's in heart failure, they can't take it. If they have liver disease, they can't take it. And this is one I don't really prescribe much. It's the meglitines. It stimulates insulin release immediately after meals for a short duration. So obviously you have to take it with food, ladies and gentlemen. Repaglinide is the one. We don't have it formulary where I work at. And of course, if you have liver disease, you don't want to take it. And of course, low blood sugar when you take it without food. The next category is alpha glucosidase inhibitors. And this slows down carb absorption in the intestine, leading to a slower rise in blood sugar. The example that I like to prescribe sometimes is acarbose. Now, you don't prescribe it with someone that has an inflammatory GI disease or an autoimmune GI disease like Crohn's or ulcerative colitis. So everyone's treatment plan is individualized, okay? There's not I know you go to your doctor and you think, oh, he's going to do this, do that, do that. Yeah, there's a plan, but everybody's different. And I try to explain that to my patients. It's not a cookie cutter type of medicine. Never has been. It's personalized treatment. Okay. If, you want to look at the type of diabetes. Is it type 1 or type 2? You want to look at the age, weight, and lifestyle factors. Comorbidities. Obviously, if someone's got liver disease, heart failure, kidney disease, some of these are contraindicated. And risks of hypoglycemia and GI issues. So you want to come up with a unique plan. We're going to talk about Ozempic, ladies and gentlemen. Ozempic is that GLP-1 that we mentioned earlier. It stimulates the production of hormone, insulin, which helps blood sugar levels in the body. When someone has diabetes, the body doesn't produce enough insulin or get to use it effectively. And this can lead to high blood sugar levels and potential complications if left untreated. And that's what we're trying to prevent, ladies and gentlemen. It mimics the effects of GLP-1 in the body, helping to increase insulin production and lower blood sugar levels. In addition to the treatment for type 2 diabetes, bear in mind, Ozempic is never to be given to someone with type 1 diabetes, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. It's not going to do anything. And I don't know if you can take Ozempic for weight loss if you're a type 1 diabetic. That's a good question if anyone was thinking about that. Because you can use it just for weight loss alone. It suppresses the appetite and makes you feel full. Ozempic has cardiovascular benefits, reducing the risk of heart attack or stroke in folks that have type 2 diabetes. Now, the vessels are different, ladies and gentlemen. The brain and the heart. Well, basically, a heart attack is when one of the arteries gets occluded. A brain stroke is when one of the arteries in the brain gets occluded. It's beneficial because high blood sugar levels can damage blood vessels and increase the likelihood of heart disease. When you control blood sugar levels, Ozempic can improve overall cardiovascular health. And they're finding that it's good for treating non-alcoholic fatty liver, NAFLD, in individuals with type 2 diabetes. This is where a condition of excess fat gets in the body and cause inflammation and scarring, and can progress to liver cirrhosis and liver failure. It reduces liver fat and improves overall liver function, making it a treatment. And we use Ozempic for kidney health. With type 2 diabetes, that's the leading cause of, if you've heard the term, chronic kidney disease or CKD, as high blood sugars can damage the small blood vessels in the kidneys. Okay. By lowering blood sugar levels and reducing inflammation, Ozempic can slow the progression and improve kidney function with patients with type 2 diabetes. Other diseases that they're learning Ozempic can treat is polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, for the ladies. Back in the day, we would put them on metformin, but Ozempic has promise as treatment for PCOS. Okay. A PCOS can lead to infertility and increased risk of diabetes. So, how does Wegovy work? It mimics the GLP-1 hormone. It acts on receptors in the brain and helps regulate blood sugars, reduces appetite, and leads to weight loss. So you may ask yourself, I'm spilling out all these words. What does glucagon secretion in the pancreas do? So glucagon is a hormone produced by the pancreas, okay, that helps regulate blood sugar levels. It works in opposition to insulin, causing the liver to release more stored glucose in the bloodstream. You've heard of during low blood sugar emergencies, you get a glucagon shot, and that's how it works. So it maintains stable blood sugar and improves energy to the body. So another lab that we look at is the triglyceride levels. Okay, I know I'm spilling a lot of information out. Bear with me, okay, but this is important. Triglycerides are a type of fat that can be found in the blood, okay, part of a lipid panel. It's stored in the body's fat cells and used for energy when it's needed. However, when you have the diabetes, triglyceride levels become elevated. One reason is insulin resistance. The insulin hormone regulates blood sugar levels and allows sugar to enter the cells. But people with insulin resistance, their cells don't respond properly, and they can't take the cells up. This leads to an increase in blood sugar, which can trigger the liver to produce more triglycerides, and thus raises the risk of heart disease. Another potential cause of elevated triglycerides is a diet in simple carbs, such as sugary drinks and processed foods. Okay, no sugary drinks, no processed foods. The problem is these foods are broken down too quickly into the bloodstream and causes a spike in the blood sugar. This sugar, this glucose, goes into the liver and it's converted to triglycerides, leading to higher levels in the bloodstream. So it comes full circle, ladies and gentlemen, if you know what I'm saying. Now, other disease processes can lead to elevated triglyceride levels. If you have an underactive thyroid, you're not managing it well. If you have kidney disease, and of course liver disease, can all affect triglyceride levels. And there's certain medications that can raise your cholesterol, triglyceride levels. It can be managed through lifestyle changes and medication and cut back on carbs a lot. Problem is, taking a triglyceride medication doesn't work well with taking a cholesterol medication. So you got to find a mix. We always try to put patients on ACE inhibitors who have type 2 diabetes. And you may ask yourself, well, I don't have high blood pressure. Why is my doctor prescribing this losartan, irbesartan, or lisinopril? ACE inhibitors, which are angiotensin converting enzymes and angiotensin receptor blockers, or ARBs, they help manage blood pressure and improve kidney function. They block the hormone angiotensin 2, which is a potent vasodilator, okay? So the ACEs and the ARBs allow the blood vessels to relax and open up, reducing the blood pressure. And it decreases the risk of heart disease and stroke and kidney damage. And it shows that it has slowed down the progression of diabetic nephropathy, kidney disease caused by the diabetes. And it improves insulin sensitivity, okay? It can help the body use insulin more effectively, leading to better blood sugar control. This is obviously for type 2 patients. So it reduces the risk of having a stroke, a heart attack, and other cardiovascular complications with type 1 and type 2. So they slow the progression of nephropathy in the kidneys. So that's all the osteoallopathic management of type 2 diabetes, okay? The pathophysiology that I discussed that hadn't changed, but now I want to incorporate natural treatments for type 2 diabetes. Let me premise this by saying that I did do a natural medicine fellowship at George Washington University. We're at 35%, 5 hours and 24 minutes till it's fully charged, ladies and gentlemen. If I may interject, can you see that? Anyway, it's charging. So I've learned about the natural treatment for type 2 diabetes. Problem is they always say, well, consult your doctor. Problem is a lot of doctors don't know what naturopathic treatments are. So I want to go over what I consider to be some of the mainstream naturopathic treatments. Some of this, I want to go over it, and then I'll tell you what I like and I don't like. So, of course, there's lifestyle interventions. Go walk an hour every day. Eat healthy. Don't eat a lot of foods with sugar. Don't eat breads. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of breads. They say eat whole grains. Eat all the legumes that you want. Eat all the vegetables that you want. Eat all the fruit that you want, but no fruit juice. Okay? I'm not a big fan of bread or anything derived from bread, sadly. You're not going to have a dietary restriction if you hold bread back. If you hold bread back, that's not going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. You want to eat fiber-rich foods like vegetables, okay? Oats and flax seeds. Well, you're not a horse, so I don't know. I have mixed feelings about oats. You're not a horse. You're a human. You should eat vegetables. We do eat oats. It's high fiber. But vegetables, they pack more nutrition, more macro and micronutrients than oats do. So basically, with all that fiber, it slows down the absorption of sugar in your gut because it takes longer to absorb it. And see, this is where I disagree. When I did the research, they talk about nuts, seeds, avocados, and fatty fish like salmon. To me, healthy fats are nuts, avocados, fish, but not seed oils. I don't believe seed oils are healthy for you. I believe that they are unhealthy for you, ladies and gentlemen. Eat the seed. Don't just use the oil. Okay? I mean, you're going to get more bang for your buck eating seeds. I'm not saying don't eat seeds. Just don't use seed oil, ladies and gentlemen. Use olive oil instead. Try this out. Me and my wife were thinking about making some popcorn with bacon grease. Imagine that, ladies and gentlemen. How delicious that would taste. I'm okay with eating corn. Okay, it's just wheat. I'm not a big fan of. I live in Indiana. Of course, I gotta like corn, right? So if you eat healthy fats, it improves insulin sensitivity, and then it supports heart health. So I believe animal fats are healthy. Of course, anytime you eat something fatty, you can put on weight. You got to watch it. You got to exercise every day, ladies and gentlemen, every day. Okay. Whether you go for a walk an hour a day, go for a walk. All it is just going for a walk an hour a day. You sit just as long watching that thing. Do aerobic exercise. That's a good walk. Do anaerobic exercise like resistance training. Lift. Work your joints, okay, ladies and gentlemen? You want to mix that up. Do squats or do push-ups. Do what you can. Know your limit. But do something. Every week at my job, they have a move program where the guys, they're sitting in a chair and they're doing various exercises sitting down. And I joined in once. It's a decent workout. And it's cool because we use our military cadences to do it. But you want to perform exercises correctly, not to injure your back. Learn to lower your stress level. This is something I need to follow my own advice. I have high levels of stress and I get cranky. Deep breathing, okay? You breathe from the diaphragm out. Go past the lungs, ladies and gentlemen. Go down here. Every hour, take 10 deep breaths. And it helps with the... Of course, I have this device here, ladies and gentlemen. Every week, I'm going to show it to you. You put it on. It increases breathing resistance, so it builds up your lungs and endurance. And I have it on the highest level. If I went for a walk with it, you're not getting oxygen enough to your body, so you're going to tire out faster. But at the same time, you're building up your lungs, making them stronger, improving your lung endurance. I don't want to say anything bad about yoga, but I don't do yoga. I believe that those poses mimic worshiping other deities. Okay, now you could do your yoga. I ain't going to judge you. I won't do it. I think it's harmful to your soul. I think meditation, everybody can meditate, okay? Yeah, sometimes I meditate, like when I meditate thinking about shooting my rifle, and when I'm just like in that zone, right there, it's crunched up into my shoulder. Take that deep breath. It rises and it falls, and then I go, and I meditate and I go, bang, ladies and gentlemen. And that's how I meditate. You meditate what works for you. Okay. Another way that I used to meditate was when I was a paratrooper. I learned to meditate. I would jump out of the airplane, the wind, and hustle, the roar of the C-130, and then silence. And I had a steerable chute, okay? So I'm just staring down, falling to the ground, release my rucksack. Oh, there's a nice, I'm not going to fall in the water, and then plumb. Meditation. Find out what meditation works for you, ladies and gentlemen, and do it. There are some natural supplements that I want to go over that can help support diabetes management. Cinnamon is not really one of my favorite drugs. I consider it, I'm referring to all these as drugs. They're naturopathics. I don't believe in cinnamon. I want to mention it because it damages the liver and it interferes with other medications. not a my first line therapy. I'll tell patients that are taking it, it's not going to do you any good. First of all, you got to do everything else on top, lifestyle modifications. You should be doing that anyway. But on the other hand, let me digress and tell you, well, let's see what we got here. We're at 36%, ladies and gentlemen, and we have 5 hours, 18 minutes to go until this is charged up. Berberine, okay, berberine. I've been telling patients to take it for over a decade. Of course, I found a study they did in China about berberine. We studied it in my natural medicine fellowship. It lowers the blood sugar much like how metformin does with the liver, and it improves sensitivity. It can cause an upset stomach, diarrhea, and it can lower your blood pressure. Well, if you have high blood pressure, it's good. You want to lower it, but you don't want diarrhea. Same side effect with metformin. When you initially take it, you can get the diarrhea. So the great thing about berberine versus metformin is it doesn't cause any damage to your kidneys, and you're not worried about going to ketoacidosis with metformin or with berberine, unlike metformin, ladies and gentlemen. So you take the equivalent dose. If you're taking 2,000 units of metformin, you would take once a day. Let's say you take 1,000 of berberine twice a day, but work yourself up to it. To me, it's a 1-to-1 dosing. The next naturopathic, and I like to call them naturopathics, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, you call them what you want, but that's how I refer to them, is ALA, or alpha lipoic acid. It can help with nerve pain and improve glucose metabolism. Helps with neuropathy and improves insulin function. You get a little scratchy throat from allergies this time of year. Can cause some headaches and result in low blood sugar for some people. Magnesium, ladies and gentlemen. There's certain types of magnesium out there. The one that I would like to refer to is magnesium glycinate. Okay, there's magnesium citrate, that's for constipation. There's magnesium oxide, which is supposedly for headaches, but actually magnesium glycinate actually helps with the headaches, and it's good for blood sugar. High doses can cause diarrhea and cramping, so you want to take a low dose. It definitely helps with nerve function because magnesium actually does help with headaches too. If someone has a headache and they want a natural remedy, we carry mag oxide where I work at, but I really tell patients mag glycinate is the one you want to take. Another herbal is fenugreek. It can help control your blood sugar levels. It slows sugar absorption and improves insulin sensitivity. So above, we discussed what insulin sensitivity means. It can cause bloating, gas, and you can have an allergic reaction to it. So you got to be careful taking that. Bitter melon. Okay. It mimics the insulin and can help manage blood sugar. Used in many cultures for treatment of diabetes. Now, I don't know if it can be used for type 1 diabetes, but there's probably some research on that. At this point, I don't know that there's any naturopathic that can treat type 1. Bitter melon, I think, might have some future with that. I'm not 100% sure. I don't do research. High doses can cause low blood sugar. So, if someone's a type 1 diabetic, maybe they've tried bitter melon and see how it works. As a prepper, you got to know what your alternatives are when you have some disease processes. The disease process may go away on its own with like type 2 diabetes if you lose weight because you don't get enough food and you're hungry and you're working more as a prepper. But with type 1 diabetes, you still need the insulin. I think bitter melon deserves some more research, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, aloe vera, which is good for everything. You can grow it indoors. Aloe vera gel. It shows promise in fasting blood sugar. And it's also great for your skin. Let me digress for a moment, ladies and gentlemen. When I went through boot camp back in '89, Fort Bliss, Texas, desert, I didn't use sunscreen, okay? I used aloe vera for the sunburn on. And I got tanned up, but I never got any burn. Aloe vera to me is a lot better than the chemicals they put in sunscreen. And I didn't want to use the bad chemicals in sunscreen. You got to be careful with aloe vera because it can mess up your electrolytes in your body and make diarrhea bad. So whatever you're going to use 1/10 of it. And I can't tell you the dosing of aloe vera. The only one I'm specific on is berberine, ladies and gentlemen. So what are the long-term benefits of natural treatments? Well, of course, you're going to live longer, right? Better control blood sugars, but that's what we all want. Isn't that true, ladies and gentlemen? You want less complications. Complications with your eyes, retinopathy, neuropathy in your feet, and heart disease. And you want your overall quality of life improved. By no means is naturopathics a marathon, but definitely not a sprint. You take it one at a time. Do your own research about these naturopathics that I discussed. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't do consults or anything like that. I'm not doing anything like that. This is just my opinion. And that's just my opinion. So next, I would like to do a couple of things. I want to go over a couple of things, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I got to check my phone here. I believe in slings for rifles should just use the KISS service. Keep it simple, stupid. I see people do these 3-4-way slings, and it doesn't really do much to improve anything other than you just got a lot of rope around your neck. I like the old traditional sling, and I like that's what I like, okay? And if I have a 1-point sling, that's what I use. So my daughter found this old belt underneath the bed. I don't know how long it's been there, but I no longer have the wherewithal to wear it because it's way too big for me now. So I'm thinking this material is great. I could cut this out. Okay. Just cut it out with a pair of cutters. It's really good material. This is a 511 belt. I could drill some holes or a hole, and I can make this into go like that and make it into a device. I don't want the belt aspect of it. See how I make it into a sling? I guess you wouldn't need to cut it. You can just do it like this. And put some 550 cord to your rifle and attach it here. But this would still be the weak point, but it's never going to come out. You could put some 550 cord here. So that's how I think of when I do slings, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. You don't have to buy these $60 slings. It's basically a belt. I wanted to go over something specific with you, ladies and gentlemen. Aspirin. Everybody knows what aspirin is, okay? But if you're doing a garden, what I recommend is you get one grown-up aspirin, 325, and 2 gallons of water, and every 2 weeks you spray your plants with that 2 gallons of water. You spray the leaves, ladies and gentlemen, and that boosts your plant's immunity and health, and so you get healthier plants. Basically, you're prescribing some anti-inflammatory for your plants, and they get bigger and they grow better. The other thing I want to show you, ladies and gentlemen, this is this is electroculture. Okay, this is a copper antenna that I made. You put this in the dirt, and the copper antenna picks up the energy from the Earth's magnetic field, and it goes into the soil, and it stimulates the soil. Because I believe soil is alive, ladies and gentlemen. I believe it's alive. Okay. I just wanted to show you, because I was opening up my garden. I have a container. As a prepper, I have everything organized a certain way, and now I'm going into my seed vault because I wanted to plant some more carrots. So that's what I did, ladies and gentlemen. And I got to make sure that each one of my raised beds has at least one electroculture. And this is how I make it. I make it from this. I just whirl it around something, and I get it about a little over a foot long. Yeah, it's that long, ladies and gentlemen. And this lasts, it's copper. It's not going to go anywhere. Now, without being vain, I wanted to read a little bit from my book, My Journey as a Combat Medic, before we call it a day. Would anybody like that? Just got to pick a page. Got to go right here. Here we go. Army Training, Chapter 4. Every day is a training day in the Army, except when you're at war. The Army even calls it a training holiday when soldiers have a 3 or 4 day weekend from training. Training is very important to the combat readiness of the soldier and the unit. There's always something to train on. The Army has schools that soldiers attend to learn how to do their job and learn how to lead and learn specific skills. The basic soldiering skills have to be mastered in order to have a successful Army. Every soldier has his or her own unique basic training experience. Well, obviously, I sometimes talk about my experiences from time to time. Officers get their initial training through a variety of different means, such as a reserve officers training, ROTC in college. Some go through West Point. Some officers go through officer candidate school. And if the Army deems more important enough, they'll direct commission people like doctors and lawyers off the street to become officers. The course of the enlisted soldier is pretty straightforward. You have to first finish basic training. I grew up as an Army brat, and I remember hearing some of the soldiers I'd been around talk about how their drill sergeants would beat them up slap them in the face, and basically humiliate them. I was kind of expecting that kind of treatment and looking forward to it, to see what I was made of. I think earlier I mentioned I went to basic at Fort Bliss in El Paso, fall of 1989. We're not called soldiers yet. We're called trainees. You're not a soldier till you finish boot camp. But anyway, pictures that you can see. This is black and white. So from time to time, I'm going to read a little bit about the book. It's an audiobook and it's in ebook, but pretty much everybody buys audiobooks now anyway. But anyway, this is Suburban Prepper. Thanks for listening to my live stream. I'm constantly working on improving it. I can't wait to go and watch this week's video myself to see how I can improve upon it. I have a new camera, this Sony FD1V, and I have this new microphone right here. It's a wireless microphone because last week's microphone situation was horrible and the image was horrible. And throughout the week, I learned how to use this equipment and how to set it up and how to adapt it to do a live stream and how to get these microphones to work. And it was a process. But here I am, and I'm hoping it's not on deaf ears. I hope everyone can hear me. And I have the right setting on the camera, and it's amazing, this camera. It doesn't zoom. It does zoom, digital zoom, but I don't need it to zoom. I guess I could have zoomed in a little bit because I want to give the facade that this is a studio. Obviously, that's not a studio. That's my electronic massager. You stand on that, and it goes. But anyway, I'll work on getting it better next time. So this is Suburban Prepper. I'm going to sign out. Thanks for watching, and watch my videos. I'm doing a lot of AR-15 videos. A lot of it's for basic new shooters. It seems to be my niche. I'm working on doing a AR family, my AR rifle family, from my 22 all the way up to my 308. And hopefully I'll have my new family member, my 300 Win Mag. And I'll line them all up like a good family, and we'll do a family picture. Okay, I know it's a little crazy, but it's going to be fun. All right, everyone, Suburban Prepper out.